My name's Evan Zander. I'm attending ASU Mountain Home, which is part of the only way you can get the scholarship. What the scholarship is a student graduating from Mountain Home High School who will attend ASU Mountain Home gets the promise, which takes care of the first 2 years tuition. And what that really is an incentive for students to further their education in college, to help get their degrees, move on, get a better life, get a great job. The Promise Scholarship helped me not only just get into college, but not overstress myself, and it helped me believe in myself, because I was so scared that I'd have to spend more time working than I could actually getting time to take off, study, do the tests, get the class, and worry about what I'm going to be eating the next day or how I'm going to be getting home. The process for getting the scholarship is actually very simple, 5 minutes, very quick. You email the necessary information to the Education Foundation. And that's it. It's that simple.
Hello, my name is Bailey Mahan and I am a freshman here at ASUMH, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Promise Scholarship. I just want to start off by saying I appreciate the Mountain Home Education Foundation so greatly for awarding me this scholarship. It has made my whole experience here so much better, and I graciously accept every penny. The process was pretty easy. There wasn't too many forms to fill out. I was pretty much guaranteed it, and it just made the whole process of going through college so much easier. It's helped so many of my friends out. I'm so grateful that I can still be here at home with my friends and my parents, and not have to be $40,000 in debt, and still get the same degree. I just want to thank everybody from the Mountain Home Education Foundation for awarding me this. And some of my plans are I'm getting my Associates of Arts here for my first 2 years, and I'm going to transfer to U of A to get a degree in biology. I'd like to be a game and fish officer. I love being outdoors and hunting and fishing, and I would just want to preserve this beautiful state we live in. I also would like to join the Air Force in the future and possibly get my private pilot's license. I might be able to fly for some major corporation like Delta or United Airlines, and I think that would be the greatest thing ever. I've always loved to fly. I've always loved to be behind the wheel in the cockpit, controlling the machine, and I hope it all works out.
It's pretty good. Saw 2 board members that didn't raise their hand. Trust me, the board members know all about the Promise. It's going to work. It's worked already. 40% more high school students at Mountain Home went to ASU this fall than last fall, and that was due to the Promise. I know Dr. Myers wants to think it's just because he's a great chancellor, but it is time to introduce our inductees for 2017. If you'll look at your program, you'll see a list of all the inductees since 2004, I think. And it's doctors and lawyers and business people, military people, and my favorite, teachers. And Mountain Home Public Schools has done a great job putting these youngsters out there and representing Mountain Home and being very successful. I knew Bud Boathammer all my life. He's one of the greatest guys I ever met. And going into the Faithful Hero Award, or receiving the Faithful Hero Award tonight, is Bud Boathammer.
This is Joe Dillard, Mountain Home City Hall. Talking about Bud Boathammer today. Bud and I go a long ways back. I was elected county judge in 1980 and took office in January of '81. And Bud was the chair of the hospital board at that time. And the hospital actually was kind of at a standstill. They had grown, but they were kind of stalled out. And back then, the county judge actually made an appointment every year to the hospital board, and that appointment had to be confirmed by the quorum court. Well, kind of speeding things up, in 1981, we got a company from Texas come in and evaluate kind of where the hospital was and where we kind of give us some direction what we might do to improve it. So from that point, Bud Boathammer appointed 2 of the hospital board members and himself, and I appointed 3 of the quorum court members at that time, and we started meeting. And Gordon Webb, he was a district attorney then, he's now our circuit judge, but he was our legal advisor. So the hospital board, the quorum court judge and I met, and this went on for several months, probably 6 months, and we come up with a lease, and we leased the hospital to Methodist Health Systems. And this went along for several months, and Bill Anderson came on board, and but the hospital, we had to break that lease. And I remember the quorum court having to appropriate $60,000, which was a lot of money back in the early 80s for legal fees, but we won. And from that point, we set up a 501c with a self-perpetuating board. But Mr. Boathammer played a major role in getting the hospital to where it is today. And just a big thank you to him. He and I have hunted together, we've fished together, we've done different things together, but he was an outdoorsman. He was retired from the post office here in Mountain Home, owned a farm, and was good at raising cattle and doing farming. But he was a good community builder, and if you look at the hospital today, you can see his tracks there in the way the hospital, and from that point up until today, from the hospital has grown. And what a great facility we have, what a great drawing card the hospital is to our area. And I give Mr. Boathammer lots and lots of credit. He's just a great man, and we greatly miss him.
John Ahrens is my name. It was my privilege to know Bud Boathammer for 61 years. Bud was a citizen on the county level, on the city level, and on the national level. He graduated from high school in 1943 during the war years. Right after high school, he enlisted in the Navy, and after basic training, he was shipped to Norman, Oklahoma, where the Navy Gunnery School was. Completing that, he was shipped overseas to the Pacific Theater and flew in a Navy Douglas Dauntless dive bomber, which I have a picture of here. And he flew the rear seat top gunner, and they participated in 2 major battles and others, but the Battle of the Marianas and the Battle of the Philippine Sea. During one of these battles, they were forced to crash land on the deck of the carrier Enterprise. But talking with Bud years ago, which he never mentioned the war years much, but he would tell you about him if you asked him. That he said combat was terrifying enough, but what was really terrifying was the typhoon they went through shortly before the end of the war. That's when he said, and I'm quoting him now, he said, "That's when I really wanted to start coming home." That Bud there, to just sum it up, Bud was a citizen.
Bud Botenhammer, when I first got to town, of course I'd met him prior to getting back here to practice law, but he was the postmaster, and of course my father-in-law was the assistant postmaster, and I knew them from that position. But Bud retired shortly after I got to town, and also retired a few years later. But we knew the Botenhammer family, and of course Bud and Aussie had known each other for years. And my first real involvement with Bud on a just a casual basis, I got invited to go on a pheasant hunt with he and of course Aussie invited me, and it was Aussie and Bud Botenhammer, Dr. Baker, Jay Baker, and I think Joe Dillard went with us as well. And I was kind of impressed that these older, more established guys had invited this young lawyer to go pheasant hunting. I later found out part of it was that I had a van that would haul part of the guns and stuff they needed hauled. And plus, when I got up there, I found out that there's a substance called fireweed in South Dakota. It's awful. You can't walk through it. It's awful. And it was cheaper to have me go recover the birds than to get a dog. So I was in the middle of those. And as a matter of fact, it got to be a point that when somebody would kill a bird next to that fireweed, I'd shoot it all the way to the ground to make sure I didn't have to go in there and get it. He kept saying I was weighing down his birds with lead. And it was on that trip that I learned to eat sardines. I've never been very proud of sardines, but we got up early and had breakfast, because all those guys got up early. Bud was an early riser, and everybody else there got up early, and we'd have breakfast, and we'd be waiting on the sun to come up, and you could not hunt before noon. You couldn't shoot a pheasant before noon. Well, we'd be driving around all morning looking at pheasants, doing whatever, and then noon would come, we started hunting, and we didn't stop to eat lunch. And the first day, I said, I'm hungry, and they said, well, here, and they gave me a can of sardines and some crackers. I wasn't very fond of them that day, but the second day they tasted a lot better. But I really enjoyed that trip, and Bud and I would kid about it a lot. He would always joke with me about shooting his birds after they were dead. I just said, I want to make sure they didn't run off in those fireweeds, and I have to go get it. But Bud was a cattleman. Of course, he was the postmaster here, knew everybody from that job, and he was a cattle rancher, and we shared that in common as our interest. And he was an avid hunter, probably the most avid hunter I've met, other than maybe Joe Dillard. And he really enjoyed his retirement and enjoyed his kids and grandkids. And Bob and Buster can tell you some great stories if you spend some time with them.
Accepting tonight on behalf of the Botenhammer family, Bob and Buster.
Bob Knight told me a couple of weeks ago to keep it short. And actually, Billy from the Bulletin asked me earlier, he said, have you got a copy of your speech? And I said, Billy, it's right up here. So you know it won't be long. But our family, this is such an honor to us, and so humbling also. I mean, it's just a great honor to get this for Dad. And I know he would have been very proud of it. He would have been proud just to be included in this group of people that have received these honors and are receiving now. That would have been a big deal to him. Education was a big deal to Dad. He thought you ought to get all the education you can. Me and Buster, we took that to heart. it took us about 20 years combined total to get out of college. Just one real quick trivia on the Bodenhammer family. Dad and his brother Deber, they graduated from Mountain Home High School. Me and Buster graduated from Mountain Home. Our kids graduated from Mountain Home. Jim and Joe, his nephews, graduated from Mountain Home. Their kids graduated from Mountain Home. And one of Buster's grandsons is in school. Well, actually, he's got 3 or 4. Buddy and Jody they've got 4 kids that are in Mountain Home. So Mountain Home High School has certainly been tested. But really, I just want to say that it's a real honor. And one quick thing, and I'll shut up, and that's we need to support this foundation as much as we can. It's a good deal. It's just great, and I think it's great what they're doing. So, thank y'all.
I just want to say thank y'all. I know Dad would be proud. He didn't like a lot of recognition, but he would be proud. And I want to think that he's probably looking down. Thank you.
So Marley, if you can get $10 a head from the Bodenhammer family, we can fund the promise first year. I'd like to introduce Tommy Fowler, who helps, it's a tradition, he always helps pass out the awards. Missed last year, nothing went right. Tommy went in the Hall of Honor in 2009. Thank you, Tommy. He's also got the inside of the university. I'm going to tell you that I wouldn't want to be the coach over there. Let's give a big round of applause to the folks here at Big Creek. They did a great job tonight. Former teacher, Bill Maxwell.
Congratulations, Bill, on your induction into the Mountain Home Education Foundation's Hall of Honor. It's a great honor and one you're very worthy of in recognition of your years of service to the Mountain Home Public Schools. As I thought about what I would say today, I kept going back to that first time that we sat down, you and Donna and I sat down in the Mountaineer restaurant and talked about our goals for the Mountain Home Band program, what we would like to see accomplished. I don't know that we got all of them, but we made a noticeable difference in all of them. Little did we know that that meeting would be the beginning of a 28-year trip. And it had a lot of twists and turns in it, but it was always fun. Speaking of trips, we spent some time in that equipment truck. Trips to Siloam Springs, Carthage, Gatlinburg, to name a few. We solved a lot of the world's problems on those late night returns. I can't remember what the solutions were, but I'm sure they were good. The thing that stands out most to me in your career in Mountain Home is the rapport that you established with your students. And it lasted all through their high school years and college years and even beyond. They've always known that they had a friend in you and had your support. That's been terribly important in their lives. One of the best things that happened when you came to Mountain Home was that you brought Donna with you. her work with the elementary school students, the foundation they got, the solid basics of music, and an excitement about music led to much of their success in the upper grades. Again, congratulations on tonight's honor. I hope you have a long and healthy retirement and enjoy that new grandbaby.
Bill Maxwell, congratulations on being inducted into the Hall of Honor with the Mountain Home Education Foundation. I have to tell you, it's a privilege for me to be able to bring forth some of the great things that you have done in your educational career. Thank you for always being there for students, building those deep, meaningful relationships, and always believing in them. You've truly made a difference in so many students' lives. Congratulations again for being inducted into the Hall of Honor with the Mountain Home Education Foundation.
Bill Maxwell taught at Mountain Home Junior High for 39 years. I taught there for 25 years and got to know him really well. Not only did he have 8th and 9th grade students at the junior high, he drove to the middle school every day and taught 6th and 7th grade students how to play their instruments. Teachers, regular teachers, have trouble even with 25 to 30 students in a classroom at times. I couldn't imagine having 60 to 65 students each class period and trying to teach them how to play their instrument, then teaching them individually how to work with the other students and make beautiful music. Not only that, he had to teach them how to march. In 6th grade, he agreed to take a blind student, first time ever, and he had them through 9th grade. He taught that student how to hold his instrument with one hand and then read his music in Braille with the other hand. To me, this was just amazing. Not only that, he taught him to march with the band. It's just so hard to share so many things about Bill with you because he did so many things. And he was amazing because he truly cared for each one of his students. I think, personally, that one reason Robert Nelson had so many great bands over the years was the preparation that they received at junior high. My son decided at the end of 5th grade that he wanted to take 6th grade band. I was really thrilled because I knew it would be a great group for him to be a part of, and I knew that Bill Maxwell would be a wonderful role model for him.
I'm excited to introduce to you my friend, mentor, and teacher, Mr. Bill Maxwell. I first met Mr. Maxwell in 1974 when he arrived in Mountain Home as our new junior high band director, and I was an 8th grade clarinet player. This was an exciting time in our band program as we now had 2 band directors and got to learn from each of them throughout our junior high and high school band careers. Mr. Maxwell was always a great teacher and encourager, and generally he made music and band fun, especially because of his laid-back attitude. Of course, there were those times when the percussion section decided to do things their own way, or when a few of us did a little bit too much chattering between songs. But overall, we had a great time. I reconnected with Mr. Maxwell several years later when I returned to Mountain Home and my daughter was a French horn player in the Pinkston Middle School Band. Later, when Claire was in 8th grade, she came home one day telling me that she wanted to stay after school to practice with Mr. Maxwell to prepare for all-region tryouts. And I remember saying to her, "He stays after school to practice with you? Why would he do that?" And I remember clearly her saying, "He just does that, Mom. He wants us to be good." Mr. Maxwell retired as Claire's class finished 9th grade. So I was in his first class in 1974, and Claire was in his final class in 2013. Even since retirement, Mr. Maxwell continues to be a part of the band program for many of our students. He continues to give private lessons at his home, always giving our students the best. He travels to many performances that our students are a part of, whether it be at all-region, all-state, camp concerts, and at the university level, like at the University of Arkansas. He goes because he loves to follow our students' careers. He encourages them as they continue their music careers, and probably because he still enjoys the music. I can't imagine another person who deserves this honor more than Mr. Maxwell because of how he's influenced the students in the Mountain Home Public School system. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Mr. Maxwell.
Look, this is, I think, the first time I've ever done this. I have actually written down something to say. Doesn't mean I'll follow it, but I've written it down. First of all, thank all of you for being here. I thank Molly, the Education Foundation. This is by far the biggest honor I have ever received, and I'm so humbled to be standing up here. It's just, all I want to do is help kids. And for the foundation to accept me and honor me like this, I really, really do appreciate it. Robert's right. We spent a lot of time in that old truck. And we solved a lot of problems. At least we thought we did. And he's also right that the secret's out. I really didn't do that much. The person behind everything that I did was my wife. Behind every good man is a good woman. I'm not sure I'm as good a man as she is a woman, but she has always been by my side. A lot of times I would stay at school till late and hurry home, eat something, to go back to open the room back up at night so kids could come back and practice. But she somehow always had dinner ready. There was a time when I had gone goofy and I decided that I needed to run home. I thought it was better for my brain, clear my head. So I would run home after staying late, and then she would drive me back to school. So I had already had my truck there. So we just kind of have both worked side by side with this, and I really do appreciate her. It's tough to be a teacher's kid. If you're a math student and you have your parent for a class, you're stuck in that teacher's classroom for a year, and then you're good to go, and you're through with them. And Brandy said this tonight. If you have me, and I always would warn the sixth graders about this. If they had me in sixth grade, they were going to be stuck with me for 7 years. And daughter was stuck with me for 7 years. You know, and got to hear, I'm sure there were things that were said that maybe at times were not very pleasant about me. I'm sure. But both of them have been so helpful, and I'm proud of my daughter, proud of my wife, and I think now my daughter's married. Her husband Brad is here, and our new grandson is here. So this has been a big week. My brother Dave and his wife Lauren are here, and if our parents taught us obviously a lot of things, but one of the things that our parents taught us was to value education. So we both went to college. When my last year in college, my college band director said that you need to go apply for a job, and he told me in Mountain Home. He said there's a man in Mountain Home that you need to go up there and work with and learn from. So we came up and sat in the Mountaineer and interviewed for a job, and thank goodness Robert hired us. And I did learn an awful lot from him. I didn't really realize that Mr. Witherspoon, my college band director, just told me to go for a few years and then move on. He said, learn, and then you can go have your own program and go to a high school. And I don't think he meant for me to stay 39. And I'm not that much of a slow learner. It's just that I enjoyed it. Robert and I spent a lot of time together, and to a point where when I go to Walmart, most of the time it's, "Hi, Mr. Nelson." and I just say hi. And enjoy your photography on Facebook. And I say thank you. I can't even take a picture. Learning from Robert, but I also learned, again, probably because I'm a slow learner, I learned a lot from Robert, but I also learned that this community supports education. I remember going to the first, and they supported the band more than what I had ever. I went to North Little Rock High School, and I thought our band program was really supported. I remember going to the first high school football game, and I thought something had happened. Halftime came around, and nobody got up. Everybody sat in the stands. Everybody listened. And when the band got through, everybody stood up and clapped. And I had never, ever been into a community like that before. I understand, a lot of it was Robert's work. A lot of it was respect for Robert. A lot of it was just respect for kids and respect for kids who work hard. It's amazing when you go away from Mountain Home. I was lucky enough to go to band camps in the summer and take people that I don't even want to know. Brandy, I don't know what you did, and Melissa, I don't even know what y'all did.
Days at band camp. Right?
Yeah, it was just a band camp. That's all I want to know. I'd go to band camp, and people would say, how did the Mountain Home band get so good? And it was like I was supposed to tell them that there was a magic secret. And I would always say, good kids. Sometimes I say good kids that work hard. And an example of that is Brandy, a good kid who worked hard, and look what she's accomplished. But that really wasn't all of it. It was good kids that worked hard, but it also was a community that supported kids, that supported education. And there's a value to education in Mountain Home. And "30 years ago, pre-foundation, before the foundation, this community supported education. The only thing I think the foundation has done is become a very visible and a easy way for all of us to support the kids and teachers in the school district. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting the education. Thank you for supporting all the students and teachers in Mountain Home. And again, thank you for this honor. Thanks.
We're very proud of our teacher grants. That's something we started a few years ago, and Molly said it'll probably be $10,000 to $12,000 a year. What was it last year? 50-some odd thousand?
Not quite that much. So if y'all ante up, it can be next year.
These are grants, well, the video will tell us.
This year, I was blessed with a grant from the Mountain Home Educational Foundation to help make my classroom into a learning lab filled with multisensory activities to help them really to hook on to these items that we're expected to learn. And one of the objects that we got that you will see them using will be these airport quality glass reflective beads. We were also blessed with several pizza pans with 3-dimensional letters. And then we have several tiny little objects that you will see me using in just a minute that came in several object kits, and those also help them hook onto their knowledge as well. All right, so today I have an item in my mystery box. Okay, and I'm looking for someone to come up and get an item for me. See, Natalie, can you come here? Get my mystery box and show them what my item is. Okay, that is a what? A toothpick. Where do you notice the k sound in the toothpick? It's at the what, Luke? At the end. Okay, when we are spelling words with a k sound at the end, we use, after a short vowel, we are going to use our C and our K together. Oh, she got it? Alright, so Natalie, you're going to say C-K. Ready? C-K. C-K. Can you join her? Ready? C-K. 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 Awesome. Are you ready to go lock in that C-K for the k sound after a short vowel? Alright, let me see who's ready. Alright, ready? Let's show how we lock in our sounds. Ready, Skyriders? Ready? Here we go. C-K. Awesome. Gentle swish. Erase if you're on the board. And let me see your arms up again. Ready, go. C-K. Now remember, that's always after a short vowel. Ready? Let's do it again. Lock it in. Go. C-K. Erase. Gentle swish and rotate. go to your next item. Ready, go. C-K. Gentle swish, erase, and go. C-K. Alright, ready, lock it in, go. C-K. Ready, gentle swish and erase, and lock it in, go. C-K. Gentle swish. Ready, go. C-K.
Really appreciate the support that we get from the teachers who contribute on a monthly basis. That money goes for teacher grants, and we really appreciate that. I don't know how many of you noticed how Walmart stock has gone up the last 2 days. Word got out that Brandy was going in the Hall of Honor. Walmart stock has just skyrocketed.
Hi, my name is Melissa Freeman Steiner, and I am a Mountain Home High School graduate of the class of 1988, and I graduated with Brandy Sanders Joplin, who's being inducted into the Hall of Honor tonight. I've known Brandy since we were very young. I met her somewhere around first grade. We went through all 12 years of school together. We had some high points, we had some low points, but of course I remember the high points a lot more than I remember the low points. I can remember us riding the bus together, and those were maybe some of our lower points. I do remember that we finally talked her mom in about middle school. We finally talked her mom into picking us up after school, so that was definitely a highlight. I remember the cafeteria that is now the Pinkston cafeteria. It used to be in the basement, and we were, I know I was, and I think she was also a little bit scared to go down there every day to have to eat down there in the dungeon in the basement. We went to band camp every year together, and we would worry all the way down there whether or not we were going to be roommates. Even though we had put each other down as roommates, we would worry the whole way down if we were going to be roommates, and of course we were every year. And then we probably need to say a special thank you to another of tonight's inductees, Mr. Maxwell, who would bring Brandy and I home. Our parents didn't come to the concert, and Mr. Maxwell would actually bring us back in the back of his car, and I can't imagine what it was like to have two giggling girls all the way back from Russellville. So he deserves a special honor for that as well. Some of the really great things I remember about Brandy. Brandy was always that true blue friend that you could always count on. And one of my favorite high school memories is when we were in band. And I can't even remember what year it was, but it had to be either our junior year or our senior year, because Brandy was the drum major. And there was one part in the show where we would pass each other, and I would go, we would go right by each other. And every time, just like it was choreographed, she would wink at me. And that was really part of the show for us, but a really special memory that I have too of Brandy always winking at me. I can also remember Brandy on graduation night. She was a salutatorian, so she got to give a speech, and her speech was about a dream pie. And it was all the pieces of your life that go together to make one pie. And so Brandy is a living example of having put her pie together, having done so many amazing things through her life, through college, and being active in organizations and rising in her career to put all those pieces together to make that dream pie. So it truly is an honor for me to know her and call her my friend, and there's no one that deserves more than to be inducted into the Hall of Honor. And Brandy, I love you and I'm proud of you, and go Bombers.
So I've known Brandy for about 7 years, ever since she came to Walmart, and so I've been able to watch Brandy come up through the company, and it's been fantastic. And one of my most favorite days that I've had in my role as CFO was when about a year ago we promoted Brandy to be the Chief Audit Executive, which is a really big job inside of Walmart. And to have someone of Brandy's character and her competitive spirit, and she's so good with people, and to be able to promote somebody like that is really, really fun. The thing I first think about when I think about Brandy is she is a Razorback fan for sure. I'm a Texas guy, and so I question her judgment a little bit on that, but we let her by with it. She's a huge Razorback fan. She's involved with so many things inside the company. She's a huge supporter of diversity inside of Walmart, and has also been an incredible advocate for women inside the company, particularly women in finance, and has really been a leader on all of those fronts. One of my best memories of Brandy, obviously, is when I promoted her, but we had a competition about who could raise the most money recently for a charity, and the winner got to have a water balloon fight with me, and the one person I didn't want to win was Brandy Joplin. And of course, she's the most competitive person on my team, and she won. So having a water balloon fight with Brandy is really not advisable, and I lost very badly. So the Hall of Fame induction for Brandy could not go to somebody more deserving. The town, the school system, everybody should be so enthusiastic about her coming into the Hall of Fame. You could not find a better person. She's incredibly respected inside of Walmart. She takes care of her family, she takes care of our associates, and is just absolutely one of the best associates that we have. So congratulations, Brandy, for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved.
I have been blessed to not only know Brandy, but to work with and call her a dear friend for over 20 years. Brandy and I met at Arthur Andersen. I had transferred to the Little Rock office and met Brandy, and she immediately made me feel part of the team. She and I worked on many projects together, and one of our main clients was Alltel. I got to learn a lot about Brandy as our audit team went to lunch together every day, and lunch was always at 11:30 and at one of our 5 or 6 usual places. Like many public accountants, both Brandy and I eventually went to work for one of our clients. We both went to work for Alltel. Brandy headed up the internal audit group at a time when Sarbanes-Oxley was a new requirement, and she spearheaded this implementation perfectly and with best practices that she had identified. Why? Because that's what she does. Everything she does to perfection. She gives 150% because for Brandy, if anything is worth doing, it is worth doing well. Brandy proactively joined internal audit networking groups and was soon revered by many as an expert in her own right. It was at Alltel that I really noticed Brandy's skills as a great leader. She sought leadership development ideas that she implemented with her team. I noticed it because she was the only person who I saw doing it. She worked to make sure her team members had needed assistance, positive and constructive criticism, and she organized team building after team building activity. Brandy's direct reports respected her and enjoyed working for and with her, and continue to keep up with her today. Brandy created a team environment and worked throughout the organization similarly, and was very well respected by the executive management team and the board members. When Alltel was acquired by Verizon, Brandy moved to Northwest Arkansas to work for Walmart. Not surprisingly, Brandy has continued to excel there. In addition to her regular job duties, which seem endless to me, she has been part of an organized women's mentoring team, recruited new hires, and has given her time after work to participate in these and other leadership development and community activities. Brandy does this because she truly cares about others. With her international positions, which have required travel all over the world, I seriously wonder how she does it all, and without taking away attention to her most important people in her life, her family. I cannot say enough about the respect and admiration I have for Brandy, and I'm so grateful to have her as such a special friend. She is most deserving of this honor.
Hopefully I'll get through this. What an honor it is to be with you this evening. Thank you to the Mountain Home Education Foundation Board for this recognition. First, I want to say this. What this community and foundation is doing for the students of Mountain Home is nothing short of amazing. I could not be more proud of my hometown for supporting the students, investing in them, and giving them an opportunity to extend their education, because we all know that knowledge is power, and that is what fuels our communities around the world. This award is definitely a highlight of my career, 25 years of working really, really hard and sacrificing a lot, but also in serving those around me. I have never forgotten where I come from. I am very proud to tell people that I'm from a small town in the northern hills of Arkansas called Mountain Home, and I light up when I get to do that. There are so many faces in this crowd. Many of you saw me get married, you've been to baby showers, you've been on this journey of life with me. And I wish I could call out everyone, but there's a few that I need to recognize and tell you a few stories of what I believe the education system here allowed me to do and be successful. Melissa, thank you for the very kind words. You've been one of my best friends for life, and I really love and appreciate you. I was a member of the Mountain Home Band for 7 years, and to be honored tonight with you, Mr. Maxwell, is an absolute thrill. Yeah, it just makes tonight even that much more special. Being a part of a band is a team sport. We all have roles to play, and you are part of something that is bigger, than yourself. And I was fortunate to be the drum major of the band. Mr. Nelson and Mr. Maxwell had enough confidence in me to put me out there in the middle and lead the band. But I also had to earn the respect of my peers and be able to influence them both on and off the field. And we practiced over and over and over and over. It was 8 steps to the yard line, up and down the field, and even in the parking lot. And we persevered through some really hard times. So there's the natural elements like rain and heat. There were times when my arms would not move anymore from directing because we had a game, a competition, and so we persevered, and we also celebrated in the best of times. I'll remind you that during our time we were first in state. So that was one of those big moments. But all of those experiences, I feel like, helped prepare me for what was to come in my work life. So leading large teams, solving complex business issues and personnel challenges, striving for excellence, all of those things that I learned in band, I feel like I've just been able to continue on that and take it with me. The second experience I want to talk about is I was a member of the German-American Exchange Program, so Mrs. Reed. That is something that you cannot measure. There's no words that you can put to that to really convey what it means. And I gained a family. So to this day, my exchange family and I continue to keep up with each other. Elka, my exchange partner, we probably see each other about every other year, so we'll either travel to Germany or she'll bring her family here. So again, there's no price that you can put on that. So traveling to a foreign country at a very young age, learning a language and going into someone's family and learning their culture, and then seeing the difference between a free country and a communist country was something that would make a lasting impression on me. And that summer opened the world up to me. And what I feel like that did is today I lead over 350 associates around the world, and they're my family. So I have what I feel like are family members in India and Chile and Japan and Africa, you name it. But I feel like the experience that I got through that program and just learning what it means to have diversity and to have inclusion, and I've tried to take that also into the workplace. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Calvin, because he hired me at Yelcott Telephone, and that was the start of a 17-year career in the telecom industry. And I learned a lot those summers. I was the only female, and I was out with the guys on the trucks, and we were mapping out the telephone lines, and we would eat at White Sands down there. Can you only imagine what kind of stories I heard at the White Sands? But it was a wonderful experience. And again, I had a great career with Arthur Andersen and Alltel. And then when we got bought out, Verizon had the opportunity to go to Northwest Arkansas. I wasn't going to go too far from Arkansas. You know where I get my competitiveness from, right? There's only one person, and it's not my mother. And a diehard Razorback fan, so you know I wasn't going to go very far. I am very blessed. I have a family, my husband Steve, who's here tonight, and Hayden, my 11-year-old son, and my parents who have been extremely supportive of my work. And they know that this is my calling and it's my mission field. And I work in a job that I love, I work in a profession that I love, and I work for a company that I love. I learned early in my career, I learned this at Alltel, how important it is to invest in the people around you. Watching them succeed, learn, pass it on to others is the greatest pleasure that you can have as a leader. Work comes and goes, companies come and go, both Alltel and Andersen don't even exist anymore. But what you deposit and leave in other people have a multiplying effect. And quite frankly, that's what life is all about. Thank you for this honor tonight. I am truly humbled. I've had a lot of fun, had the parade last night, talked to students today. Those students are excited about the promise. I had several that I was able to talk to that, you know, it was exciting to see that in them. And so, again, I am truly blessed. Even though I may live 3 hours from here in Rogers, Arkansas, just know that Mountain Home lives in me every day.
Thank you, Brandy. Leontine Partner Award.
I'd like to congratulate First Security for being honored tonight. It truly is an honor to be associated with them. First Security has been very, very helpful to Guy Berry College and Career Academy. They jumped right in and they've helped us out and helped our students out. Tim Coleman and his staff, they've been very kind. They've invited our economics kids over and they taught us the business model. So as we were trying to open up our own school store, we've done mock interviews with them. Our kids, you know, with mock interviews, they were critiqued on their interviews. We've done mock resumes with them, and they were critiqued also by the same staff on the resumes and how to help them. They even helped us. Tim Coleman even was part of an interview and helped us with our presentation that I was able to present at the National Alternative Educators Convention down in Dallas, and just the things that they do with us. They've given us furniture, and we appreciate that. We've got a really, really nice table and chairs because of that. They've even hired one of our former students, and who was going through the mock interviews and the resumes. Just basically anything that our school or our students have needed, and they've been able to help with. They jump right in and they help us, and they work hard with us. Right now, they're helping us with a deal. We're going to try to start our own little business here with Guy Berry Produce, and First Security was the first one that said, "I'm in. How do we help? How do we do this?" So again, congratulations, First Security, and thank you so much for your service to our school.
When I think about my time at First Security Bank, I can't help but think about the time all the way back to the beginnings in 1906 when a group of local businessmen came together to charter a new bank to take over a failing bank called the Mountain Home Bank. And from that time until now, the People's Bank, which later became First Security Bank, has made a contribution to this community probably in the highest form by being conservative and a stable economic influence on our community. We've gone through the Great Depression, we've gone through the savings and loan crisis, we've gone through high interest rates and low interest rates. And not only the time that I was managing the bank, but all those directors and managers before me did so with the idea that our best contribution to our community would be to be a stabilizing economic force in that community and operate as a business who intended not only to be around, but to help our community thrive and prosper. one of the things that First Security has done in the community, that was one of my favorite things for the schools, was a thing called the Academic All-Stars, where we would invite the top academic students from the high school to attend a banquet in their honor at Big Creek Golf and Country Club. We would ask them to provide a resume of what their plans were and what their accomplishments had been, and we would read those at the banquet. Brenda, who had been with KTLO for several years, would read the resume as the student would come forward, give them a nice plaque and a certificate, and brag on them. Well, number one, you've got the brightest students in the area that you're inviting to recognize for their academic achievement. We already recognize the sports people and everybody else, but these were the academic people, and we wanted to recognize them as all-stars. So we would invite them and their parents to the country club, buy them dinner, make them some little gift, read their dreams and expectations in front of them. Now, you can't do that wrong. To invite those bright students and their parents for a free meal and you brag on them, that's a gimme. That's just going to be a hit. We really enjoyed doing that for the students.
It is with great honor to speak on behalf of Mountain Home Public Schools and the support First Security has provided. First Security has been a strong supporter of our students and educators for many years. Just a few of the ways they have supported us is by providing academic planners to all our teachers and staff. They have also supported our students through career fairs and career and technical opportunities. They have provided breakfast to all our staff and teachers during Dunbar Day. They were also instrumental in starting and continuing to sponsor Bomber Fest. They were one of the first and continue to be a long-time sponsor of our Bomber Booster Foundation. Above all, I was personally able to witness Mr. Coleman and some of his staff adopt our Guy Berry students through mentoring and by teaching them the ins and outs of starting up a business and a successful business model. This is the type of community support that makes Mountain Home Public Schools a great place to be. Thank you, First Security Bank, for your commitment to Mountain Home Public Schools and our students.
First Security, come on up.
Bring my crew. Molly told me I had 5 minutes. I assume that that's 5 minutes per. So I've got about a half an hour here, it looks like. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. You know, looking back, Tommy Fowler's here. When I went to work at People's Bank and Trust Company, Mr. Powers Fowler was chairman of the board. Mr. Neil Nelson was the president of the board. That's how far back that our bank goes, and several years before that, but that's as far back as I can see that our bank goes as far as supporting this school system. So what we accept is for the work that they have done and started and taught us. They taught us that you invest back into your community and how important it is to invest in the community. I can tell you personally how I feel about the Mountain Home School System. I had a son that went to school here for 12 years. I see some faces in this room that helped mold his life. Coach C and Coach Wood and Miss Reed, some others that helped me raise my child. I never once had to worry about safety for him, worried about putting him on the bus, worried about where he was at in school. I never worried about the education that he was going to get, because it was great. When he graduated and went on to college, he was probably a sophomore to come back, and he said, I am so far ahead of some of those that are in my class because I went to school at Mountain Home High School. They prepared me better than a lot of other schools have. After he graduated, we all wanted kids to come back home. And he said, you know, I'll probably never be back home. And, you know, the world's a big place, and they find better things than better things to do, and it's always a big bright pearl. And it wasn't until he decided that, or until he had kids, actually, and was looking for a place to settle down, he said, you know, Mountain Home's a great place to raise kids. Mountain Home's got a great school system, and I'd love to have my kids in the Mountain Home school system. That's huge. So now I've got 2 grandkids in the Mountain Home school system. So personally, how big is that to me? It's huge. I can't tell you how appreciative I am of the school. So professionally, we think about this a little bit, and you know, there's lots of reasons that people move to town, and we try to visit with our folks when they come in and say, what brought you to Mountain Home? Do you have family here? Do you have, you know, what brings you to Mountain Home? And there's 3 or 4 things that they say every single time. One of those, and unfortunately, our bank's not one of them. I don't say, well, I come because you're a bank. The 3 or 4 that's always mentioned is the medical community. So vitally important for us. The lakes, the rivers, the mountains, the things that we have, bring them here. And almost every single time they've mentioned your school system. Your school system. You have a great school system. You have a great public school system. I visited with a school bus driver the other day, and we were just talking and you know, talking about what he does and how he does it. What a hard job it is to be a school bus driver. And I know they're needing school bus drivers, but it takes a special person to be able to put up with those kids on that school bus every day. But we don't have incidents on our school bus. We don't have problems on our school buses. We don't have problems with our students in classes. We're so blessed to have such a great school system. So I had a gentleman move in the other day, visiting with him a little bit, and I said, what brings you to Mountain Home? He said, well, you know, I'm self-employed. I can work, you know, what I do, I can do anywhere. I can live anywhere. He said, I live in just south of Tupelo, Mississippi. You got any family here? I said, no family here at all. You know, I like the area, I like the mountains, I like the area. But most of all, I get a $24,000 raise to come to Mountain Home. I said, really? I said, yes, sir, I do. Because where I live, from the time my kids were in kindergarten, I started paying $8,000 per child per year to put them in a private school. And I got 3 of them. And they're all in school. And y'all have a tremendous public school system that I don't have to worry about my kids. So I came to Mountain Home because of that, and I just got a raise. You think about our school system and how have we done as far as our investment? How many employees do we have, Dr. Long? Close to 400 employees in the public school system, 500 employees in our public school systems. I think our salaries and benefits and that's somewhere around $15 million a year, close, of money that comes right back in and stays in this community. Those are great jobs. We talk about industry and needing jobs. Those are great jobs. Those are people that build houses, buy cars, buy furniture, and take trips. And those are people that need our bank. So professionally, how do we do? We do pretty well, and we do very well because this community gives back to us, and this community, one of the examples of the way they give back to us is through our public school system. So in looking at that, and you know, Billy was asking me too, you know, what do y'all do for the schools? Well, first of all, when I started off, I'm thinking, gosh, we do a lot. I mean, we've got 4 big old buildings, we pay lots of taxes, we donate to football programs and scoreboards and football fields and baseball fields and GAP, and you know, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, all of the things that we give. And now I'm wondering, do we give enough? Are we investing enough back into the things that is the most important in our community? So how's our investment doing? I'd say it's doing very, very well. I appreciate very much these folks behind me. This is just a small sampling of what we've got that helps us. All of our folks are very active in mentoring. We've got 2 or 3 to mentor in the school system that, you know, it takes a village, and these folks help us tremendously. So I thank them very, very much. I thank y'all for the recognition, but honestly, who should be recognized, in my opinion, is the school system for the outstanding job that you do. So more than thank you for the recognition, thank you for all that you do in our community.
Thank you, Tim. Unless Molly rambles on for 30 minutes, we are just about done. Put the clock on her, Tommy.
I kind of knew what I was going to say, but I'm going to modify it just a little bit. Jackson Steiner, you are out there. Would you stand up? Jackson Steiner is a senior in the Mountain Home Public School District right now. These videos, they were produced at the hands of Jackson Steiner and his peers. So I'd like to say Mountain Home Public Schools are very progressive. This is the work of technology, the setup, everything else. You always fail to put someone in the program, and our tech department was out here with me this afternoon, working, moving, doing duct tape down on the floor. They were going to make sure this was perfect. Not enough words can be said about that tech department, which also leads me to Dr. Jake Long, because our tech department and students like Jackson Steiner are able to do the work because we have a young superintendent that stays on top of his faculty and says, let's be progressive, let's move forward. That's Mountain Home Public Schools, folks. That's the product of you, and that's the future for our youth. And I could not be more proud for what our product is becoming. So, Dr. Long, Jackson, our tech department, all of you in the community who have given, thank you very much. But we're not done. And you heard the students with the promise. You heard that. One of those students that spoke, he said, I don't have to worry tomorrow about what I'm going to eat tonight because my tuition is going to be paid. That was one of my students in class. And when he says, I don't want to have to worry about what I eat tonight, he really meant, I don't want to worry about what I eat tonight. And it's because of the generosity of the people in this room and of people outside this room. It's the generosity of First Security Bank, Integrity First Bank. It's the generosity of so many people. And I thank you, but I have to ask for more. We're not done. We aren't done. So if you'll look in your program, there is a sheet with wings. You've always heard you're the wind beneath my wings. Well, I'm asking you to be that, and I want you to look at that sheet. There's also an envelope. You can mail that form in with the donation and with the commitment for 5 years. If you think it doesn't matter, reflect back to this night. Reflect back to the graduates we produced. Reflect back to the teachers who have produced. Reflect on our product, which is our students, our future workforce. Let's keep our kids in Mountain Home, and let's equip them for a better tomorrow. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed tonight.